Hello and welcome to Joyfully Cooking. So today we'll be making 3 dishes to go along with our holiday series. So the first one is cutlets. It's a turkey substitute and we're going to have a brown gravy to nicely go over that. And then we also have an apple walnut crumble dessert. Let's get started. So we're going to start with blending 1½ cup of distilled water with our chickpeas or garbanzo beans. So we're going to add in 2 cups of our garbanzo beans and we're going to blend that up. And as we blend it, we're going to gradually add in our seasonings. Okay, so the seasonings that we'll need onion powder, garlic powder, chicken style seasoning, 2 tablespoons of yeast flakes, and some liquid aminos. Okay, so now we're going to pour our batter into a big bowl. Get all of that out, scrape that out with the spoon. It smells really good already, and it's a nice, smooth, creamy type of texture, and that's the texture that you really want. Okay, blend nicely all the way through. And now we're going to add 2 cups of gluten flour, okay? First, I just added the first one in, and you want to stir that up. And after, you're going to see right when you add in both of the cups of the flours, the batter is going to start getting really stiff. But that's how we want it to get, because it's going to become like a bread. Like when you're making bread, it's going to become really stiff. And it should form into a ball. Okay, so I added about another cup of the gluten flour. Maybe because we blended it nice and smooth, it wasn't really thickening up. So we added another cup of gluten flour, and now it is pretty thick and good enough to knead. Okay, so now we're just going to splatter some flour on a dry counter, on a clean dry counter. Dump our batter onto the counter. And we're going to knead for about 2 minutes, okay? But the thing with this batter, with this meat, the longer you knead, the more it will be chewy like. But the lesser that you knead, it will be more spongy like a bread. So you can choose how long you want to knead it. If you want to knead for 2 or 5 minutes, it would be more chewy. But if you knead it less, 2 minutes or 1 minute, it'll be more spongy like, okay? So all you do is just fold in and out the bread. Very easy kneading. And right now you want to preheat your oven to 350 so that can start preheating. So I kneaded the batter for about 5 minutes, and now I made 2 oval shaped loaves, okay? And now we're going to put them in a greased pan. I'm going to put this in a greased pan. Now the other one in this one, because we want them to have room to grow, because they're going to expand. Okay, and we're going to bake them for 50 minutes. Okay, so now we're moving on to our apple walnut crumble. You want to start with having a small pan and turning that on to medium heat. And we have a little bit of oil and 2 teaspoons of agave nectar in there. And you just want that to heat up. Okay, and now we're just going to chop up a ½ cup of walnuts. Okay, so I just kind of space them out and make sure they're all flattened. Okay, and now we're just going to cut down on them. Gently. So easy like that. Okay, so now we're back in the pot and we're going to add in a cup of oats right in there, and we're going to let that saute. Stir that around in the oil and the agave, and we want that to saute for about 10 minutes or until it's a nice golden brown color. Now for the filling of our apple walnut crumble, you want to peel 5 apples and chop them into cubes. and leave the peeling for garnishing. And then now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of agave nectar in a bowl with our apples, with 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and toss well to coat. Okay, so now our oats are golden brown, and we're just going to add a pinch of salt, just a pinch. And now we're going to add our crushed walnuts in that same pot. I'm going to stir that in and let that now saute for about 3 minutes. So now we're going to put our apple filling into our baking dish. All in there like that. And now we're just going to flatten that over. And now we're going to add our oat and walnut topping. Okay, we're just going to sprinkle that over, and it's nice and warm because it was just sauteing. So just sprinkle that over the apples. And we're going to let this bake for 30 to 35 minutes on 350. So now we're going to stir our toppings in with the apples so we get all the different type of textures and all that good flavor inside. So after our apple walnut crumble came out of the oven, I just want to sweeten it up with some sugar that I'm just going to sprinkle over. Or you can use agave too. Okay, so now our cutlets are ready. So we took them out the oven after they baked for 50 minutes, and here they are. Okay, so now we're just going to move it onto a rack so it can cool for about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so now we're moving on to our last dish, our brown gravy. So for our brown gravy, you want 1/2 cup of water and 1/2 cup of raw cashews. And we're going to add a 1/4 cup of cornstarch in a blender, 2 tablespoons of yeast flakes, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, a 1/4 cup of liquid aminos, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to blend all those ingredients together. Okay, so now we're going to pour our batter after it was nicely blended into a frying pan. And now we're going to take the remaining cups of water into our blender to get the remaining ingredients from the blender. So we get all those flavors and seasonings that are still in there. Okay, you can blend it up, or like I like to do, just shake it up. And then also pour that inside with the gravy. Okay, so you want to just quickly stir it up so all the lumps get out and it's nice and smooth. And then you want to add another cup of water, so in total it should be 4 cups. So here we have our meaty turkey-like substitute, our cutlets, and we have our nice delicious brown gravy over it. Oh, the texture is so chewy and it came out so good. It smells so good and very turkey-like. And then we have our apple walnut crumble. Oh, it looks so good. The apples are nice and tender. Then we have our oats and our walnuts are nice and golden. And then we just garnished it with the apple peels and drizzled some agave nectar over it. These 2 meals look so good and delicious. And I hope you enjoy and make these dishes at your Thanksgiving. So I hope you enjoy these meals and stay tuned for more joyfully cooking.